am a recovering employee. In 2019, my boss called me into the boardroom. As usual, I didn't think anything of it. And we went through the niceties, and then he tells me, unfortunately, your job in learning and development has fallen redundant. And he continued talking and explaining, and at some point, all I could see was his mouth moving. I don't know what was going on in my mind, but I told him, please repeat that. And as he did, I had the voice in my head telling me, redundant. Me, Syria Rama. How? Who will do the work? And he went on and on. To take you back a little, I'd worked for this organization for 15 years, risen through the ranks. I started in customer service, where they used to pay us in cash because the salary was this small. And then I moved into debt collections, and I used to call people who don't pay their debts and ask them to pay up. And then I found my way into HR as a learning and development professional. I loved my job. Now, when an organization is rebranding, which is what we were doing, there's a lot of excitement that goes into the organization, and I'd even gotten a chance to go to South Africa as a champion. The people had nominated me. Went to South Africa, came back, and part of the work that I had to do was to help people through this change, to train, change programs, what have you. Part of that work included restructuring, and we would help people to be ready to go home. Being in L&D, I had to call vendors to come in and to do outplacement training, as we would call it. Prepare people for CVs, prepare people for finances, prepare them to just be ready for being unemployed, or to help them learn how to get a new job. Little did I know that one day I would go through that training. And then he came back and told me something else, that I had a choice. I didn't have to go home. I could join another team. Remember, I told you I loved my work. I enjoyed it. I had found my passion. I loved engaging with people, helping people grow. And so when he told me I could join another team, I knew myself. I was like, me, never. Go do sales or trade or whatever else. Life moved on. We had some time to think about it and give our responses. A few weeks later, after making the decision, I went back into the boardroom to communicate officially what my decision was. And I went in and I told him, I've had the conversation with my family, and I have decided that I will take the package. If I could describe to you the look on my boss's face, it was a look of judgment. It was how will you survive? And you, a single mother, don't you need the job? And then one day, I remember very clearly, I was at the hospital feeling unwell, and it happens when you are employed, isn't it? And I texted my boss, as is the normal. I'm not feeling well. I am at the hospital. The message that came back: make sure you bring a sick note. You know the doctor's note that you get at the hospital? If you are admitted, if you've broken a leg, something serious. And I felt anger rile up in my body, a sick of. Even the policy allows for 2 days without anything. I'm just having a migraine. I can stay home and then show up. I have not absconded. And that anger was a way to further just sink me deeper into feeling like I'm no longer part of this HR team. I became a stepchild, I became Watu's before even leaving. We had 3 months between the time that you're given the letter and the time that you had to leave. And so fast forward, I leave. And my bank account was fat, eh? It had put on some weight. In fact, I don't think my bank account had seen that kind of money. And I was excited. It was a newness. It was a change from the things that I used to feel when I would go home and question me. Why me? Had I done something wrong? It was a change. I was looking forward. I was enthusiastic. To tell you the truth, I had thought about finally leaving the organization, but on my terms, when I was ready, not when they decided that my job is no longer required. And so life began. It is 2020, and schools are open. I used to now drive my son to school, and then I found a pool. And I decided this way it needs to go, eh? So I started swimming, and after swimming, I would sit at the coffee shop and do my plans and write my plans and everything. And I remember when COVID hit, I was at a bash, my best friend's party. And you know what happened after that? Life completely changed. And so businesses closed down. You had to put a pause on what it is you were doing. Remember, I had not started. I had not even transitioned. I was just enjoying the fatness of the account and taking care of my son and feeling like this is a new chapter in my life. But I was ready. In the following months, when you see everything shutting down, family business had to close. Everybody is looking at me. We know you have money. And then my bank account went on a diet. So it started shrinking, and I'm watching, and I thought, I need to do something. I can't sit and wait for what might happen. Things need to move. And so I began to apply for jobs, as any person would do. I applied for jobs. Remember, I'm the HR person, isn't it? I train people how to write CVs. I help people prepare for interviews. I know how to answer all these questions. And funny enough, people used to get jobs. They still do when I advise and I train and I coach, but it was not happening for me. I applied, and when I say I applied for many jobs, I think it was about 100, 90 something if I'm not wrong. Some will respond, some will not respond. And I started asking myself, what is happening? Has the universe decided that, hey, this was the end? And I went into a really, really dark place of wondering, what happens now? What if I don't get this job? What's going to happen to my son? What will happen to my family? Things were not opening up. And the thought of you being in HR and you're not able to find a job. What happened to all those networks? All those people who you could speak to? All those people you claim to know? Over time, I started feeling this anxiety just bubble up sometimes. And you ask yourself questions. And I would do some interviews, go to the first level, the second level, and they're senior jobs with good packages. But then somehow, for some reason, they would not get back to me. Dead silence. And they would not even tell me, this is where you went wrong. So, of course, I sank deeper and deeper. Now, in 2020, a wonderful lady by the name of Jenny, she asked me to join her to do some volunteer work. And I thought, no. I told her, no, there's too much going on. I'm not in a good space. In 2021, though, when I was really down there, feeling people have forgotten who I am. My worth it had dissipated into thin air. I felt, like nothing, like a nobody. She told me, why don't you join my council? And something in me just said, just say yes. I don't think I realized the weight of saying yes until a few years later. I said yes. And what that did is force me to come back into some sort of limelight. I'm a Toastmaster. And so in that community, I had to show up. I had to show up beyond what was my club. I had to show up, step up. The responsibility that I was given was to help other people speak better. I can somehow, for some reason, separate whatever is sad and weighty, step into the sunshine, and because I'm feeling nice and warm, my energy, I smile. Somebody will call me and we would laugh. So nothing ever showed on my face. And so when I showed up in those meetings, they were online, I went all in, gave my everything, got to know new and wonderful, wonderful people. And I continued doing this and getting to know people. And then I had a conversation with an old colleague of mine, a friend, and she introduced me to 3 other people, and we formed a small community of 5 people in learning and development. And we used to meet bi-weekly and learn from each other, share, and this is how I got back into the learning and development space. We began talking to other people and telling them about this little community. Today, that community has 199 people. Another thing I did is speak to my friends. I began telling them this is actually what I'm going through. And one day, my BFF, those day ones, people you've known since high school, she sends me 120,000. And I didn't ask for it, but she knew I could not even pay my loans. Remember I mentioned I used to work in debt collection? So these guys used to call me. And because I knew them personally, I'd be like, Nani, I don't have the money. At first, it was very, very embarrassing. These are people you've worked with. These are people who can see your account history. Then the next month, she talked to all my other day ones. People in the States, people Sijui, where? And she told them, Syria is struggling. We need to put something together for her. That thing called shame? It drowned me. We hold our secrets so close to us when we're embarrassed, when we're feeling shameful, when things are not going the way we expect them to go. So I was upset. Who gave her the right to go and tell my business? But a few minutes later, I broke down. I cried and I cried, but she was there. And I was so grateful for the type of friends that I have. Choose your friends wisely, eh? So I sent each one of them a message saying thank you. And I went to visit one of them at his house, and he happened to be unwell, and we had a conversation. And I told him, look, I'm struggling. I'm really looking for a job. And he told me, Allah, you've not told me. And he was setting up a startup, and he said, why don't you come in and help me run this organization that I'm starting up? And it had to do with cars. Now, if you also know me, you know I love cars. And so I was excited, but there was no contract, nothing. It was verbatim, which means what? No money. So I'm here putting structures together and doing all these nice things. There was no office, and then there was an office. But finally, he did pay me something that took me along. And I continued borrowing money. It went on and on. The years passed. But I was now also growing in my Toastmasters life. And then one day, 2024, I'm sitting at home By this time, I was doing training online. I had changed my profile on LinkedIn. I had started being called, come, speak here and tell us about something, because I had started telling my story. This is what I've learned. This is what I do. This is my expert area. And therefore, one day, a poster was posted in the public on LinkedIn. Syria Rama is coming to speak at Kenya Institute of Management. Let me tell you, even my ex called me. It was, it was so amazing what a poster can do. And so things began to slowly change. And as I said, last year, a phone call came. I don't know the number. Phone rings. I pick it up. They say, you, Syria Rama? Yes. Do you do ABCD? Yes. We have been referred. She didn't say by who. Would you mind coming in and having a conversation with our head of L&D? So I thought, I'm coming to meet one person. But I dressed the part. It was our big organization. I went in and sat in the waiting room, waited, and then I walked into this boardroom. There was not one L&D head. There was not two panelists, not three. There were 8 people in that room. 8 people. And so I had to gather myself. As I gathered myself before I came on this stage, I sat. But you know, when you're talking about yourself, it's easy. It's your story, isn't it? And so I put myself together and I spoke. And I told them, this is what I do. This is my experience. This is what I've been able to do. To cut the long story short, that was my big break. I came on board, and to date, I've trained about over 1,000 people, not once, but continuously. And so my journey into entrepreneurship then became, this is work. I'm getting me back. And all the decisions I had made began to make sense. And so I celebrate today being able to stand here, because in those rooms is where this conversation happened to come from. And as I continue on this journey with the different people that I've met, I continue to speak about this recovery from being an employee to becoming an entrepreneur. It was because of audacity to say yes to myself, to say yes to being reignited by the love of speaking to people, of connecting with some of the people in this room. It is also the audacity to say no when it doesn't serve you. And as I continue on this journey, I'm not there yet, sijafika. But as I continue on this journey, I celebrate being able to get up in the morning, being able to pay for things at one point I didn't know how I was going to pay, to lead other people on this journey of life, that when you say yes, magic can happen. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.